Hello, my name is Beth, or Queen of Spade, and you're watching The Manipulation of a Hunbot. The basic tool for manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. If you can control the meaning of words, you can control the people who must use the words. Language is ideological, as speakers can speak in a way that supports their interests. Language is a powerful tool used by multi-level marketing companies to influence the public into believing they are the answer to all their problems and the answer to living the American dream. The problem is, it's all a lie. But how do MLMs trick so many people? Language is the most ancient persuasion device. The ability to use linguistic resources in accordance with the requirements of each communication type is a valuable skill in achieving personal or public goals. Multi-level marketing companies, or MLMs, create an ideology to have the public willingly accept it as their own. That ideology, the perfect life. Today, on this episode of The Manipulation of a Hunbot, we are going to be discussing the linguistic tactics used by multi-level marketing, or MLM, companies to manipulate the public into purchasing their often unnecessary products, or manipulate you into becoming a Hunbot. Every single month, thousands of people are being manipulated into joining these MLM companies. In this series, we dive into the psychology behind the manipulation of a Hunbot. I would have called the series The Psychology Behind the Manipulation of a Hunbot, but the title is way too long. This episode is also long, so pause for a bathroom break, grab your drink, snack, and spades, and get comfy. If you haven't seen the first episode, I highly recommend clicking on the link on your screen and giving it a watch first. It defines many of the main terms being used, it explains my reasons for starting this series, and also goes into what we will be covering, the basis. That being said, in 2019, we are often aware of the manipulation tactics used in marketing, or most recently by the media, to persuade us into purchasing products or into having a certain opinion or belief. MLMs do this. However, their manipulation tactics affect people more deeply since they are recruiting consultants to join their company, which also leads to lifestyle changes the MLMs claim to be responsible for. And somehow, our society accepts it more. Language. The words these companies use and how they are portrayed plays a large role in the manipulation tactics used by the companies. They use language to manipulate us in ways we may not always notice. We often don't know when we are being manipulated. Again, I cannot stress that enough. Small changes in our wording can make a large difference in how something is perceived. In order to manipulate, MLMs often use rhetoric and persuasive techniques in the way they word everything and in how they ask their consultants to. Powerful persuasive language techniques that are often used include alliteration, allusion, asking questions then suggesting the answers, lists and repetition, metaphors, parallelism. Let's take a look at each one and how they are used by MLMs to manipulate you into becoming a Hunbot. I will also give examples of these techniques being used. Alliteration. The occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words. Tongue twisters are great examples of this. So are catchphrases. Every MLM has catchphrases or different titles for their independent consultants. It is a great marketing technique, but it also works well to manipulate the Huns. As marketing goes, if you hear a catchy jingle, it gets stuck in your head, implanting in your memory. This means in future, you may be more inclined to go there since their jingle is imprinted in your head, forcing you to think of that business. Of course, MLMs use this tactic to help gain customers or help their consultants gain customers. However, this goes a bit deeper than that when these companies have consultants repeat business catchphrases or call consultants by alternate names. Using cute names for their distributors is a way for MLMs to euphemize what they actually are. It Works is a health and wellness MLM company that I was a part of. They call their higher up consultants Diamond, Ambassador Diamond, and Presidential Diamond. This isn't only because those titles sound catchy, they also sound more powerful and familiar. Also, women especially are known to love diamonds. MLMs do mainly target women. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, and It Works wants their consultants to build their teams based on empowerment and friendship. All MLM companies do this. They also use familiar and catchy phrases to describe working harder or moving up in order to motivate their distributors to do just that. MLMs repeat these phrases at conventions, during all trainings, and whenever someone needs to feel empowered to continue on in the company. It Works says, "Let's take this to a whole nother level," in order to motivate its consultants. Other examples of catchphrases are in the mottos of the companies. Unique's motto is uplift, empower, validate. Scentsy has the best example of alliteration. Their motto is family, friendship, fragrance. Allusion, an expression designed to call something to mind without mentioning it explicitly, an indirect or passing reference. Allusion can be an amazing way to help one get their point across creatively, efficiently, and effectively. MLMs use it as a manipulation tactic. They allude in order to be more relatable. However, in doing so, they tend to isolate. Oftentimes, they are isolating their intended audience. With the way the MLM business model works, they allude feminism and female empowerment, all while shaming women who work outside of the home for not spending more time with their families. MLM companies also use well-known phrases and quotes, which are usually inspirational or motivational and positive, in order to make their prospective customers or consultants feel more familiar with their process. We will dive deeper into this, but references to well-known works or events can be used to trigger the memory of emotions or concerns associated with past experiences. This may be why some Hunbots blindly use tragic events to try to promote or sell their products, and why the MLM companies seem to find this ethical. I think it is fair to say MLMs highly depend on illusion to manipulate anyone it works on, and it can work on anybody, even you. Asking questions and suggesting answers. I don't feel a definition here is necessary. You all understand what this means, but I will explain how it relates to MLMs. This manipulation tactic is mainly used when recruiting new Huns. Do you want to earn $500 extra a month? Join my team is among the most popular examples of this. I'm sure you have seen it posted everywhere on social media and weren't even aware it was being used to manipulate you, or at least to the extent that it does. Becoming a Hun means stepping into a world where every answer to every question seems to be suggested to you. It's even a part of how they keep you involved in the company. They say, "You don't want to go back to work, do you? Let's get you to your next bonus." It suggests that the only way to not return to working outside of your home, as if that would be the worst thing, which it also suggests, is if you continue to work and try your best to move up in their MLM company. If you have ever told a Hun they are in a pyramid scheme, you may have been asked, "You know pyramid schemes are illegal, right?" And this is put into their heads as well by the companies. It alludes they cannot be involved in a pyramid scheme due to the legality of their business. But we all know that's not how it works. MLMs even use this tactic of suggestion by beginning pitches with, "We are not a pyramid scheme because..." It answers the question, "Is this a pyramid scheme?" in anticipation the person on the receiving end of the conversation may ask. The answer to that question, by the way, is always yes, especially if it's immediately addressed. Lists of leads or whys. Ever hear the phrase, "If you write down your goals, they will come true"? MLMs depend on this, but in their case, they never come true. You organize everything into lists as a consultant. You are told to make lists of potential customers, prospective distributors, and you will also be told to list your reasons why. A Hun's why is her main reason for joining the MLM company and wanting to push herself to be successful. My whys were my daughter, my husband, financial freedom, and creating a support network. Lists are a very big part of how MLMs manipulate Huns into becoming Hunbots. If you've ever been in one, I'm sure you have made many. Over and over again. Repetition. I defined this basically in my first episode of this series, so I highly recommend watching it if you haven't yet. Repeating certain phrases helps to make the ideas contained in the speech sound like common sense to the audience. This repetition and emphasis will persuade the public to accept the ideas and the concepts that the MLM or upline tries to induce. Repetition is one of the most effective rhetoric tools to activate the mental schemata. Manipulating the schemata creates an ideology and persuades the public to willingly accept it as their own. At MLM retreats, the CEOs or those high up in the MLM often repeat key words or themes throughout a speech. This technique is widely used as a cohesive device in many types of specialized discourse as well as in everyday language. I'm sure you can think of examples during political speeches especially. Repetition is a manipulation tactic widely used by all MLMs in everyday life by asking their consultants to also complete the exact same tasks daily. Add 10 people on social media every day. Post 3 business and 2 personal posts on all your social medias. Make sure you're posting on social media constantly in order to market or sell. You guys get the picture. When you're a Hunbot, everything is done on repeat. Parallelism and metaphors are also used along with repetition. Parallelism: one or more sentences with similar structures to produce a pattern of repetition and balance. Metaphor: a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable. This is especially how MLM companies sell their products. Linguistic elements such as specific pronouns are used to convey specific purposes to further manipulate the public and Hunbots. Specific pronouns can be used both for the purpose of clarification and concealment of elements in a situation. Again, the way a Hunbot explains MLMs aren't a pyramid scheme. Hunbots are taught how to use this tactic almost immediately upon entering their MLM. Another example of how MLM companies do this is by using we instead of I whenever discussing their goals or dreams. CEOs of the MLM companies use this tactic when updating their consultants on any new information or whenever trying to empower them to sell. The use of the first person singular pronoun I declares who is responsible, while using the first person plural we can have the purpose of making the status of responsibility not very clear. Inclusive we versus exclusive we. Inclusive we is used when the individual or group of individuals spoken to are included within the referential area of the pronoun. Exclusive we excludes the individual or group of individuals spoken to from its intended referential scope. Remember in our first episode, I spoke about Hunbots not having independence within their MLM company. Everyone depends on everyone for their success. The language used within MLMs reflect that lack of independence, as the MLMs use both inclusive and exclusive we, depending on which is more manipulating at the time. When discussing success, inclusive we is often used. When discussing responsibility for that success, exclusive we is often used. Everyone in an MLM depends on everyone else for success, yet your personal success within the company depends all on you. Fabulous, amazing, desirable, incredible. The list of exaggerated words used when MLMs market their products or business opportunity is endless. Exaggerating these words make the products and the opportunities and even the entire company and business model sound better than they truly are. Huns even use pictures with words to market better. In fact, PassionFire.com claims in their MLM network marketing training that word pictures can increase a consultant's recruiting ratio by 50% overnight. Kind of a large claim, but alright, we are in the realm of that. In multi-level marketing, everything is big. Everything is positive all the time. Even the companies seem to expand and grow. In other words, these manipulation tactics appear to be working. Psychology Today's linguistics professor and author, Antonio Benitez-Burraco, and yes, I'm awful with names, I'm sorry. He states, one of the most intriguing questions for my students is whether all human beings think in a similar way, regardless of the language they use to convey their thoughts, or if the language we speak affects the way we think. This question has entertained philosophers, psychologists, linguists, neuroscientists, and many others for centuries, and everyone has strong opinions about it. At present, we still lack a definite answer to this question. Manipulation seems to occur in every language, however. For centuries, people thought that words were just labels for objects, and that different languages merely attached different strings of sounds to things and concepts. Now, there is some proof that the world may be perceived differently by people speaking different languages. We do not have words for everything. This is why we only have words for concepts that are important or salient in our culture. Some aspects of the world are encoded by languages even more deeply than others, to the extent that they are part of language grammars. You need to consider them whenever you build a sentence in that language. Much like how the French language uses gender to label objects and even concepts, and one must consider objects as having genders when speaking that language when they wouldn't normally in their native language. Language functions as a filter of perception, memory, and attention. Whenever we construct or interpret a linguistic statement, we need to focus on specific aspects of the situation that the statement describes. Interestingly, some brain imaging facilities are now allowing us to examine these effects from a neurological perspective. This will help us further achieve a better and more balanced understanding of classic questions in linguistics, like the relationship between language and thought. One thing we can all agree on is MLMs often try to prey on people in other cultures. It is fair to say they would have a slight understanding of this connection between cultures and the difference in our thought process in order to use it to their advantage to further manipulate. Language, wording, and culture all affect our perception. I think it's important to discuss how our brains process information and language. The human brain consists of many different structures. The cortex is the outermost shell of the brain that takes care of complex thinking abilities. It's responsible for memory, language, spatial awareness, and even personality traits. The inner regions of the brain control the most primitive aspects of human nature, such as our base impulses, fears, emotions, and our subconscious. The brain also has a subcortex, which is connected to the cortex. As such, it's able to transmit and process information. There are a number of information processing theories and models. However, many suggest that there are 3 key stages. Stage 1. Input. The brain is exposed to a stimuli, at which point it analyzes and evaluates the information. For example, a friend messages you about a business opportunity, and you determine whether it's worth responding to. Stage 2. Storage. The brain stores information for later use. It also adds it to our mental schema and encodes it. If the information is not reinforced, the brain may simply forget it over time. MLM companies do use repetition as a manipulation tactic to reinforce the idea to consultants they are in a successful business model and can achieve the American dream sooner because of it. Stage 3. Output. The brain decides what it's going to do with the information and how it will react to the stimulus. For example, are you going to join that MLM your friend suggested you join with her? The role of a schema in psychology. We keep talking about it. What is it? A schema. A cognitive framework or concept that helps organize and interpret information. Schemas can be useful because they allow us to take shortcuts in interpreting the vast amount of information that is available in our environment. Yet, these mental frameworks also cause us to exclude pertinent information, to focus instead only on things that confirm our pre-existing beliefs and ideas. Schemas can contribute to stereotypes and make it difficult to retain new information that does not conform to our established ideas about the world. Let's brief over the different types of schemas. I'll give you a moment to look over this chart, but as you can see, there are person schemas, social schemas, self schemas, event schemas. It's kind of like what is expected of us and what we expect of ourselves. Can we change our schema? Schemas can be adjusted or changed. The processes of changing schemas are known as assimilation and accommodation. In assimilation, new information is incorporated into pre-existing schemas. In accommodation, existing schemas might be altered, or even new schemas might be formed as a person learns new information and has new experiences. Multi-level marketing companies highly depend on both in order to help manipulate you. Schemas will often persist even when people are presented with evidence that contradicts their beliefs. In many cases, people will only begin to slowly change their schemas when inundated with a continual barrage of evidence pointing to the need to modify it. That's what I plan on doing with this series and my channel. Language guides our cognition. An individual's conceptual knowledge is shaped by his or her language. Even the views and beliefs we hold about ourselves is shaped by our self-talk. There is no doubt that the words we speak simultaneously reinforce and compete with the dynamic world we perceive and experience. We must be vigilant in characterizing the manner in which language and perception interact. I fell in love with linguistics at a young age. I was always a natural-born writer ever since I could spell my name. I loved how words seemed to dance across the page as I read them. Words make thoughts come to life. Language is an incredible tool. Like any great power, this incredible tool can be used for both good and evil. What's important is how you use it. How you say something can often be more important than what you truly mean. In conclusion, multi-level marketing companies have discovered this great power and how to use it to manipulate all of us. Our society allows these companies to operate and recruit. Despite evidence, they are pyramid schemes and can be very harmful. I believe MLMs are harmful to society as a whole. Thousands of people are joining these companies every month, and we need to try to stop them. I hope this episode of the manipulation of a Hunbot helped further explain the manipulation tactics used by multi-level marketing companies. I also hope you learned more about how the manipulation occurs, often without the victim being aware they're being manipulated. You often don't realize you're being manipulated. I cannot stress that enough. In our next episode, we will discuss how MLM companies use the economy and the American dream as manipulation tools. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Episode 3 will be next Friday at 10 a.m. I hope to see you then. In the meantime, don't get manipulated by a Hunbot.